Now available for the first time in paperback. Why 70% of black women are single. Learn all the reasons why so many black women can't find a husband and why 70% of black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.
And they work towards undermining the professional mobility of educated black men by going out here and hiring black women instead of black men. Now, affirmative action was originally designed to rectify past discrimination as related to black men in the workplace, but what your white supremacists did to try to undermine black men's ability to gain economic mobility was go out here and hire black women. So, what they would do is passively say that they were hiring a black woman, and by hiring that black woman, they would go out here and be able to hire a black person and hire a woman at the same time. So, in their eyes, aggressively, they were out here killing two birds with one stone. But what they were also doing was undermining the entire economic base of the black community, because the black female, because she got this job, she would think that she would go out here and have economic power, and even worse, she would use that economic power to emasculate the black men in her community. So, because this black woman has gotten her big high profile job, she's thinking that she's going out here being mobile, but what's happening is they're using her to be the gatekeeper that keeps the black man from being able to enter the workforce, because once the black woman gets caught up in her emotions about having this job, she gets this notion that she's the one who's going to be strong and independent, and she's the one thinking that, oh, I don't need to help this black man, because if I could go out here and get this job, then this black man should be able to go out here and get a job too. But what she doesn't see is that the white supremacist is using her to be able to close the door on the black man, because what the white supremacist does is he knows the black female mind, and he knows that the female, once she sees that the male is under her, she does not respect that man and does not respect his leadership and authority. So what they did was give the female all of the power economically, and then they used the female to go out here and close the door on all other black men. So that's where you don't really see a lot of educated black men in professional positions, because the white supremacist goes out here and uses the black woman to go out here and be the gatekeeper who keeps the black men out of his workforce. And by keeping the black men out of his workforce, he has all of the competition practically eliminated as related to his corporate enterprise, and with that competition eliminated by the black females in these corporate positions, this is why you don't see many black men in professional positions. Now, your black females, they sit there and say, oh, I don't need to help that black man. And that's because they're buying into their own female nature. Now, the female thinks, oh, it's the man's job to go out here and provide for her, but she doesn't see how she's been put in a position where she can go out here and be used as a saboteur to destroy the entire economy of the black community. Because as long as she's go out here seeing a black man under her, she doesn't see any efforts to go out here and help any brothers go out here and get any sort of job. So this is what leads to many of your spellbound black females in professional positions going out here and looking to go out here and elevate your Hispanic male, your Asian male, or your white male, or your Arab male before they go out here and help out another black man, because they see those men as needing the opportunity more than the black man, who she has been taught to express contempt for by many of those same whites who run corporate America. And in corporate America, they really, again, don't want you to see black men in professional positions because they don't want to have to deal with a black man being on the same level as a white man, and they don't want to go out here and have to step up their game to compete with black men. So, to keep from having to compete with black men, what your white supremacists do is hire the black woman, and then as the black woman is gatekeeping and competing against the black men in her community, what she's doing is going out here and doing the dirty work of white supremacy and not ever understanding that she's ever doing the work of white supremacy. That is the whole concept of what I call the HR brick wall, because many of these females who work in human resources or are in positions to hire black men, they go out here and erect a brick wall to keep black men out. And they go out here making statements like, why don't you go out here and try to do something for yourself? Why are you depending on black women? Well, black men don't want to depend on black women. What happens is the white supremacists put you in charge as a gatekeeper, and because you are out here seeing the black man as less than, you're doing the dirty work of the white supremacists by denying black men access to opportunities at jobs and opportunities at employment. Because what the white supremacist wants to do is he wants to keep the black man out of the job market because he does not want the black man going out here and earning a living. Because if a black man goes out here and earns a living, what he's going to do is take his money and go out here and start building in his own community. And that's something the white supremacist doesn't want to see. He doesn't want to see black men taking money from his company to go out here and build his community, going out here and taking capital out of his businesses and using it to start businesses in his own community. Because again, the white supremacist does not want to compete with professional black men. So, because professional black men are direct competition, and when you have a large community of professional black men, they create a counter economy, and that counter economy, if you have a large population of black men, can be on the same level of countries like Japan and Korea. And that's something that scares the white supremacist. So he'll go out here and hire the black woman, have her go out here thinking that she's got this big job, and what she's going to do is go out here, and as she keeps the black man from getting full-time employment, she's out here being a consumer, buying all of these consumer goods, sending money right back to all of these other white and non-black communities, building their wealth base, but never going out here and building anything that creates a counter economy. So many of these black women, they're sitting there angry because I made the comments as related to this article stating why there aren't many professional black men, but there aren't many professional black men in the circles of a Kamala Harris or a Ketanji Brown Jackson, because those black women, they have been brainwashed to believe that, oh, they don't need to help any black men. They believe that they've gotten these positions just because of so-called merit, but the main reason why they've got those positions is because the white supremacist wants to use them as pawns to go out here and keep the entire community oppressed. And because the white supremacist wants to keep the community oppressed, what he does is he hires a bunch of black women to say that he's passively promoting diversity, but aggressively he's manipulating the entire situation so that the black community won't receive any sort of economic empowerment from this employment. And those people, when they're in positions, they go out here and instead of working to become producers, all they do is become consumers. And many of those same women, as they're working in these big jobs, they're sitting there wondering, oh, why aren't there any black men? But there aren't any black men in those positions by design. And the few that are in those positions of power, many of those black males are basically, like your Barack Obama, a bootlick, a shoe shining clown who is only there to gain the favor of those white people in those positions, and they are no threat to the entire institution. So they are there, but they're not really interested in being black or empowering black people. They're basically chocolate covered white people, just like your Ketanji Brown Jacksons, your Kamala Harrises, or your Barack Obamas, and many of them see themselves as basically honorary white people. So that's why you don't see many black people in many of these corporate positions, because your white supremacist wants to have himself a group of house slaves who will go out here and parrot whatever is presented to them. And that's what these angry black females were doing in the comments section, talking about, oh, why do you need the help of a black woman? No, a professional black man only wants an opportunity to go out here and show what he can do in the workplace. That's what I wanted when I went to those hiring pools back in 2007. And when I lost my job, that's what I wanted back in later 2008 to 2012. That's what I wanted, was an opportunity to show what I could do. Unfortunately, many of these females in HR, all they're thinking about is pleasing their masters, keeping the gate, and keeping all of the heterosexual black men out of the workplace, because they want to go out here and please their corporate slave masters. So all they're thinking is, oh, why do I need to help that black man? Well, if you don't help that black man, you're not going to have that so-called good brother you want to get married to. You're not going to be able to build that black family, and you're not going to be able to go out here and have the things that you want as related to relationships, because all of these same females who go out here and complain about a lack of a shortage of professional black men, many of these same females ironically don't see how it is their actions that keep those black men from rising to come into those positions and be able to provide for her economically. And they're sitting there waiting for this high value man to show up, but that high value man can't show up because he can't get into the door to start earning and to start building up his career, because the gatekeeper at the front of the building keeps all of those men from rising to a higher economic level, or rising to a higher economic status. If you want to understand why there are no good brothers in those high professional circles, it's because you had females in HR go out here and close the door on those men. Then they use their female own group preference to hire other females. And when they see other types of men out here, like your white men, your Hispanic men, your Asian men, and your Arab men, they see them as better than black men. And then they go out here, hire those non-black men and white men, and put them in positions of economic power. And then those men go out here and close the door and keep everybody else out, except, and then go out here and leave the black woman to just be in that gatekeeper position that they receive all the benefits from. So your black woman in many of these professional positions, she'll sit there, whine and moan, oh, there are no good black men out here, but she doesn't really understand how she's being used by white supremacy. Yes, passively, they are empowering you, but then they give you that power so you can keep other black people from having power, and they use your ego and use your feelings to go out here and use you to keep others from being able to get up and move themselves forward. So they'll always go find themselves a black female or a black male bootlick, and those bootlicks will go out here and close the door on everything. And while they're sitting there saying, I got mine, screw you, and thinking of themselves as an individual, they are going out here and hurting the black community as a collective. And that's what happened with this Ralph Richard Banks and his ridiculous article. He's sitting there talking about why black women should consider marrying white men. and not understanding that the shortage of so-called black men in professional circles is due to all of these gatekeepers who don't want to see other black people rise, because many of these people are extremely mediocre and they don't want to deal with true to the game competition, because true to the game competition means that they have to step up their game and not just be a token who is there because of the color of their skin. No, in a competitive marketplace, they have to go out here and work and show what they can prove as related to the content of their character. And many of these Ivy League educated black folks, they really cannot go out here and show and prove as related to the content of their character in the workforce. So that's why they go out here and work as gatekeepers to keep other professional black people out of circles like myself, and they actively try to close the door on other professional black people. But these same, again, black women, they can't connect the dots and see how they are being used to go out here and keep professional black men out of jobs. And they want to sit there and not connect the dots because they don't want any sort of accountability, because they want to sit there and say, oh, it's not my job to help out that black man. But when there are brothers in those exact same jobs, they can look at a sister and say, look, I want to help that sister out, and I want to see her rise to the next level, because it's the natural nature of men to elevate sisters. But these same sisters, they will go out here and say, oh, I don't want to go out here and help out that black man, and then complain, oh, where have all the good brothers gone on this level? Well, if you don't go out here and let the black man in as related to the $20,000 position, he can't get the skills to make the 6 and 7 figures and become the high value man. That is the kind of logic that flies over the heads of many of these females in HR, and it flies over their heads as related to how things work in a business structure. In a business structure, you have to start a guy out at 22 making 20 grand a year or 30 grand a year in order for him to develop the experience and the skills to make 6 figures and 7 figures and become the high value man that you desire. If he's not able to enter the workforce and be able to compete, then he's not going to be able to become that high value man that you say that's out there. And the whole thing is, there are plenty of brothers, they're making this kind of money, but they can't do it in corporate America. And they go outside and do like I'm doing, starting their own businesses, because they can't enter the job market. And when we can't enter the job market, many of the females can't find us because we're not working at the job. And most people find their partners at their jobs or in those business circles. And that's why you don't see many professional black men in many of these places, because we were closed out of those places by your female gatekeepers. And sadly, many of those female gatekeepers, they can't connect the dots on how they're keeping many talented black men like myself out of the job market. And they can't really understand that you need, if you want to get good quality brothers out here to be your husband, then you're going to have to help those men, because white supremacy does not want those black men in their workforce. And sadly, you can't see how they use you to keep those black men from coming on the job. You can't see how they use you to keep those black men from being able to work. And you can't see it. And sadly, many people, they want to sit there and say, oh, there's a shortage of good brothers. Well, I'm a black man with a college degree. I'm a black man with my own business. And I'm one of these black men that you say that you want. But the whole thing is, when I go out here and I look at these other people who say that there's this so-called shortage, they're either with these white men, these Hispanic men, or these Arab men. And the whole thing is, they don't connect the dots and see how there's a game being played to keep the black man from the black woman, and keep black men and black women from coming together to build in their communities and go out here and build businesses that employ black people and go out here and build strong families. They can't see things because they're so caught up in the attention they're getting from white people and being the nice and in the center of the white supremacist attention. And since they can't see where the white supremacist is taking them, they don't see how they're leading their communities to go nowhere, because if you don't have black men running your communities and you don't have black men in positions of power, then your community is not going to get built up and be strong. And what's going to happen is that while the strong, independent black woman is sitting here in her big job, she's the one sitting there all alone with no man, and not understanding that she is the one being used by white supremacy to keep those men from coming into her life. She sits there and complains about, oh, there are no good black men out here, but she can't see how the white supremacist gives her a little bit of money and a job, and how that keeps her from being able to go out here and find a good man. Now, I look at this whole situation again as related to many of these females out here, and they're not really connecting the dots, and sadly, many of them won't connect the dots as related to why there aren't many professional brothers out here. But the whole thing is I understand that when it comes down to some of these black women, they're so caught up in the system, they can't really see how they are their own worst enemy. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App, like within the links in the description box. And if you want to learn more about why many of these black females are currently single, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere.